Hello, I'm Agnès Delaborde. I work with the French National Laboratory for Metrology and Testing, and I'm going to make a short introduction to the maturity assessment model that we plan to develop in the Robotics4EU project. First of all, as you have probably understood, in the project we deal with 5 big issues that we have identified relative to the acceptability of robots. Namely, we have identified ethical issues, socioeconomic issues, issues relative to legal aspects. We know that there are many questions around data, and another topic of issue concerns education and engagement of the society. In Robotics4EU, we perform a lot of activities to ensure that we cover a wide spectrum of expressions of interest and issues. We consult the general public, the research community, academics on the whole. We explore also the opinion of the industry, and we also cover the public of policymakers. We have carried out many events, and some of them are currently ongoing. Our final objective is to design an assessment grid that will help people to understand to what extent and through which means the robots can be accepted by society. A mature robot, what we can call mature robot, or a mature design process. This has to be defined. It would then earn some kind, the robot or the process would earn some kind of a label that would, to some extent, represent the level of maturity, some sort of a score of maturity. That could be easy to understand, and above all, that is useful for all the concerned stakeholders. We've got one first question. We want to understand how this scoring can be performed. Shall it be external inspectors that analyze, explore the robots or the processes, and provide a score this level of maturity? Shall it be the designer himself or herself who compute the score of maturity before, for example, selling the robot? Shall it be the end user, so the person willing to buy the robot or to use the robot, who shall perform this computation of the score? It's still an open question. We also wonder about the type of tools that we need for estimating the level of maturity. Shall it be questions asked to someone, to the designer, for example? Shall it be some kind of measurement? Shall it be also, I don't know, any type of scoring, in fact? So all the tools to carry out a proper assessment of the maturity need to be explored. So this is what we do in the project, to understand what are the tools to do that. We also want to understand what is a good score of maturity, depending on what context, for what objective, for what goal in the end. Is it important that all robots have a perfect score of maturity, or does it depend, for example, from the context of application of the robot? This is another question that we are trying to solve in the project. To give you an example, so far we have carried out several consultations. We focus on these 3 aspects. What are the tools? What is really the score of maturity? What does it mean? And also, who are the stakeholders around this score? We obtained some initial insights about the topics. Concerning the tools, we understand that there is most of all a need for identifying and designing what we can call estimators. So everything that, well, when put together, can provide us the score on the whole. Concerning the score itself, one thing that was really important is almost everyone agree on the fact that the score must be a reward, not a punishment, meaning that a low maturity score should lead perhaps to some enhancement of the robot, but not a punishment, not something telling you that, no, the robot should not go on the market because the score is too bad. So you see here the overall idea. We want to be useful. We want this score to be useful. Concerning the stakeholders, a few words about them as well. Apparently, it seems that it will be interesting for end users, the person who are really going to use the robot, but also for supervision entities. It makes sense that it is computed by the producer, so the designer of the robot, and it can also be performed by a third-party auditor as well. To give you an idea, concrete idea of what could be this maturity assessment model, it can take the form of an assessment grid. Here we see a real simple, a really basic example. So for all 5 domains that we identified, it can be checkpoints. And the question is, first, well, what should be in these checkpoints, but also what can it be? What can the score be? Shall it be a pass-fail score? Shall it be, well, something a bit more subtle? In any case, it must be a guidance so as to improve maturity. In the project, we still have a lot of consultation ongoing. We still need to gather a lot of references. We don't work alone. We need to know what are the other good practices in the community. So sharing knowledge will be really important for us. Thanks a lot.